Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishwapad Paramahamsa Parivrajakachoy Ashtotra Shuddha Shri Srimad Bhagavatam Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Okay. So fourth canto. It's up to all of you, whatever you want. Fourth canto, creation of the fourth order, chapter 18. Prithu Maharaj milks the earth planet. Text 13. Chatapadecha sarvatra. Oh, this is the wrong verse, but anyways. Saram adatate buddhaha tatonye chatata kamam duduhu pratubhavitam tatapadecha sarvatra saram adatate buddhaha tatonye chatata kamam duduhu pratibhavatam tatapadecha sarvatra saram adatate buddhaha tatonye chatata kamam duduhu pratibhavatam. Please chant. Okay. I'll just read the translation because this is actually the wrong verse. But others who were as intelligent as King Prithu also took the essence out of the earthly planet. Indeed, everyone took this opportunity to follow in the footsteps of King Prithu and get whatever he desired from the planet Earth. So text 14. All the great sages transformed Brihaspati into a calf, and making the senses into a pot, they milked all kinds of Vedic knowledge to purify words, mind, and hearing. Purport. Brihaspati is the priest of the heavenly planets. Vedic knowledge was received in logical order by the great sages through Brihaspati for the benefit of human society, not only in this planet but throughout the universes. In other words, Vedic knowledge is considered one of the necessities for human society. If human society remained satisfied simply by taking grains from the planet Earth as well as other necessities for maintaining the body, society will not be sufficiently prosperous. Humanity must have food for the mind and ear, as well as for the purpose of vibration. As far as transcendental vibrations are concerned, the essence of all Vedic knowledge is the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In Kali Yuga, if this Vedic Mahamantra is chanted regularly and heard regularly by the devotional process of Shravanam Kirtanam, it will purify all societies, and thus humanity will be happy both materially and spiritually. So, I'll read two more. Okay. All the demigods made Indra, the king of heaven, into a calf, and from the earth they milked the beverage soma, which is nectar. Thus they became very powerful in mental speculation, bodily and sensual strength. Purport. In this verse, the word soma means nectar. Soma is a kind of beverage made in the heavenly planets from the moon to the kingdoms of the demigods and the various higher planetary systems. By drinking this soma beverage, the demigods become more powerful mentally and increase their sensual power and bodily strength. The words Hiranmayena Patrena indicate that this soma beverage is not an ordinary intoxicating liquor. Demigods will not touch any kind of liquor, nor is a soma a kind of a drug. It is a different kind of beverage available in the heavenly planets. Soma is far different from the liquors made for demoniac people, as explained in the next verse. Daitya Danava Vamsam Praladam Asura Shabam Vidyaya Dudu Chiram Yapatre Sivasavam. The sons of Diti and the demons transformed Prahlad Maharaj, who was born in an Asura family, into a calf, and they extracted various kinds of liquor and beer, which they put into a pot made of iron. Purport. The demons also have their own types of beverages in the form of liquors and beers. Just as demigods use somaras for their drinking purposes, the demigods born of Diti take pleasure in drinking wine and beer. Even today, people of demonic nature are very much addicted to liquor and beer. The name of Prahlad Maharaj is very significant in this connection. Because Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of demons as the son of Hiranyakashipu, by his mercy the demons were and still are able to have their drinks in the form of wine and beer. The word ayaha, iron, is very significant. Whereas the nectarian soma was put into a golden pot, the liquors and beers were put into an iron pot. Because the liquor and beer are inferior, they are placed in an iron pot. And because somaras is superior, it is placed in a golden pot. Okay, just one more. The inhabitants of Gandharva Loka and Apsara Loka made Vishvasu into a calf, and they drew the milk into a lotus flower pot. The milk took the shape of sweet musical art and beauty. Om Jnanavarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshavanmalitam nena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karidavachalam Pangam Nangate Karim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Diditaranam Mancha Kapadurubhishya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah, this was, I spoke on this verse, the 13, on Saturday. Not on Sunday. Yeah, so today's verse is 14. All right, so this will be, I'll just be giving a few more classes before I leave. So this is one of them, and Tuesday Dharma Setu, Wednesday, because Javeda Prabhu's not here, I'll be giving, and then Thursday. Wednesday, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance, and then Thursday, just regular Bhagavatam. So you'll have a month free of hearing from me. You'll have to hear from somebody else, maybe. Glenn will give class, or somebody else give class. So, of course, Prabhupada, he's stressing chanting of Hare Krishna. He stresses it so many times in his books, chant Hare Krishna. And here in the purport of the 14, he's also stressing chanting of Hare Krishna for you could say spiritual prosperity, not like material prosperity. So, although one has to be careful, because actually Krishna is the fulfiller of all desires. It's like we've been reading in the Sri Upanishad recently, that it says Krishna is the self-sufficient philosopher fulfilling everybody's desires since time immemorial. So, so the idea is that whatever we desire, if we insist on it over and over and over and over and over again, then eventually Krishna will say, okay, fine. If that's what you desire, then go for it. You know, like devotees, sometimes they desire whatever. You know, they desire things that are not really Krishna conscious over and over and over and over and over again. They just keep on desiring it, keep on desiring it. And you know, like we had one pujari here. I won't say who he is, but we had one pujari here. You know, he's Radhagiridhari's pujari. You know, dressing the deities, bathing the deities, making offerings to the deities. He was the head pujari, actually. And he was a good devotee. And, you know, he had all these shilas and this and that, but, you know, somehow or other he had this bug in his mind. And bug means not like a, you know, insect, but like this bug, like this desire. And he really wanted to do heroin. That was his desire. So he just had the desire, and it just, you know, bug in his mind, and then he just finds himself in Tijuana, Mexico, right over the border here, in some cheap hotel or some cheap apartment, all drugged up on heroin, you know, for a while, you know, on and on and on. He was down there for quite a while. And apparently he had a bunch of shilas, and he brought the shilas with him. Although he was doing all this heroin and everything, he had the shilas with him. You know, shilas are these worshipable stones. Shila means stones, but Shalagram Shila means there are different forms of Krishna and Nrsimha and all these different forms of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he had all these shilas with him, although he was all heroined out. And And somehow or other, he came back to his cheap motel or his apartment, and one day all the Shilas were gone. Like someone stole them. They stole all the Shilas. So even though he was all, doped up or whatever you want to say, he still had that sentiment for Krishna in his heart somewhere. So he was disturbed about it, that all my Shilas are gone. And somehow or other that awakened in him some desire, at least. I'm not exactly sure the chronological history, if he just gave up heroin altogether right there, if he went back and forth or whatever he did. But now he's happily situated in some temple here in America, doing service. And well, I don't want to tell you too many details. He was the head pujari here at one point. But the thing is, what I'm saying is he had this desire in his mind, this bug in his mind. He just couldn't get it out, So then eventually Krishna somehow, okay, fine, you want to do that? Because that's what the super soul does, right? You have a desire, and then it says, okay, fine, and then just sanctions it. Or somehow it happens. So what I'm saying is that Krishna, we have to be careful, because the desires, if they become strong, then actually they happen sometimes. So therefore, because we're dealing with Krishna, and Krishna, he's fulfilling everybody's desires. That's what the Upanishad says, since time immemorial. So like they say that the holy name is like Chintamani. If you want material enjoyment, you'll get material enjoyment. If you want Krishna, you get Krishna. If you want whatever you want, you'll get it, actually. Of course, there's many things there's many nuances to all that, but in essence, we have to be careful. So, but although that's there, it says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Krishna, understanding that the devotee wants something that's not fully Krishna, he may fulfill that desire, but then he fulfills it in such a way that the devotee never wants it again. So he fulfills the desire, but by fulfilling that desire, okay, there may be some enjoyment, but there's a lot of suffering, and then that devotee doesn't want it again. But still, that's not necessarily the recommended path. That, okay, I have some desires, and okay, Krishna's going to fulfill them, and I'll enjoy a little bit, then I'll suffer a lot, and then I won't want to do it again. So that's not something we want to sign up for. That's not the recommended path. So therefore, what one hears, who one hears from, what one eats, when they eat, sleep, this, that, so many things. There's all these different things that we do on a daily basis that could be done in different modes, like sattva, goodness, passion, ignorance. So if we associate with goodness, or specifically, or more importantly, Krishna consciousness activities, then we have a better chance of having Krishna conscious desires. And if we associate with other things, then those other desires might come up. And also, in relation to one's shiksha gurus. So of course everybody's familiar with Diksha Guru, and Diksha Guru is important. But also Siksha Guru is important, and the Shiksha Gurus and the Diksha Gurus, they work together to, deliver the soul. So, in relation to Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru, we may hear certain things from them, right? We should. We shouldn't be hearing, from other people. We hear certain things from them, and they may tell us something directly, or we may hear it in a class, or we may read something in their books, right? So in relation to that, we also have to be careful that we're understanding it correctly, properly. So in other words, we shouldn't just, it's not the best policy, it's not a good policy, just to hear something or read something and automatically assume that I understand this. Because if everybody does that, then there's going to be a lot of confusion. So therefore, Shiksha Guru means, Diksha Guru means, part of their role means clarification. They clear things up. And it may not be clear to us that we have an unclear understanding of what they're saying, but that may be the case sometimes. And there's different levels of clarity, or there's different levels of confusion. So if so-and-so says this or so-and-so says that, okay, fine. It may be good instruction, but, we should double check with them. Email them, WhatsApp them, Facebook them, talk with them on the phone, talk with them in person and say, hey, I heard this in a talk, I heard this in a lecture, you told me this, am I understanding this properly? And then they may say, no, I didn't mean that. No, I didn't mean that at all. Or, yeah, that's 100%, like, you fully got what I was saying. So, you have to be careful. Like, for example, one boy, he used to come to the temple here. He doesn't come around anymore. But anyways, it's so many things. But apparently, he was with Mukunda. Mukunda Charna was staying with him, like, years ago, when he was a bhakta, Mukunda, when he was a bhakta. So he was staying at his house, and this boy, he's becoming a devotee and everything, but he still had a hard time kicking the marijuana habit, smoking pot. But in his girlfriend, she was, more serious than him, and she wasn't smoking, but she happened to be out of the house at one point. So this boy, Mukunda, was there. And this boy, he first of all, he turned on the stereo, and he turned on reggae, because he liked reggae music. That's Rastafari music. And then he started thinking, yeah, well, maybe I should smoke some pot, And he said, one last time, I'll just do it one last time. And Mukunda was just kind of there, and like, of course he didn't, engage with him, but he was just kind of. And then this boy quoted me. And he quoted me what I said at a Bhakti Chakra one time. And what I said at a Bhakti Chakra is that, sometimes, whatever, you're having prasadam there, and whatever, you want to mix something together, and it may be like a strange, like, mixture. So what I did one time, I don't know why I did it, but I don't even remember doing it, but what the boy told Mukunda I did is that I was at the Bhakti Chakra, and I had some rice, just some, basmati rice, white rice. And then the boy told Mukunda that I got some agave syrup, and I put it on my rice, And Mukunda, apparently, he told me that he used to do that when he was a boy. They used to put honey on his rice. Anyways. So that's what I did. And then this boy, when he saw me do this, he thought it was kind of like, oh, what's up with that? So then I said something to the boy. I said, well, this is what he said. I said, I don't remember saying it. And if I did say it, I was just absolutely joking. Like, it was a complete joke, what I said, because you joke sometimes. So the boy said that I said, well, you got to give the body what it wants, and I laughed or something. So, anyways, I'm sorry, but while he quoted me before he smoked his pot, saying, oh, you got to give the body what it wants, Now, if I said that I was joking, and God knows what he thought. He thought it was serious. Who knows? I don't know. But that's the example that he could have checked with me, called me up, hey, I'm about to smoke some pot right now, and I remember one time at a Bhakti Chakra, he told me you got to give the body what it wants, and I'll say, well, if I said that, I was joking, it wasn't, I didn't mean that. So, anyways, that's a kind of a strange example, but you get the point. That my point is that as it is said that the devil could quote scripture for his own purposes. So it's not, automatically that people that we automatically understand something. We should double check, triple check. Just in a more, you could say, serious examples, that Tamal Krishna Goswami, he was, early sannyasi, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, and a guru, and leader, and GBC, and so many things. But at one particular point, he had this idea to go back to college, which, Gaudiya Vaishnava sannyasis, Srila Prabhupada, he was like one of the first to do something like that. And he did it, and he went back to college. He was in, he wore his dhoti and his kurta and his tilak, and he was in school, and he had tests and essays and exams and diplomas and all that. He got really good grades, actually. Like, he was really good. But the point is that it was an uncommon thing, and probably even now and before, people doubted it. But interesting enough is he also doubted it. And he said that before he did this, before he went into college, he spoke with like all of his godbrothers, or a lot of them. He spoke with a lot, not all of them, but a lot of his senior godbrothers and, leaders and gurus and sannyasis, this and that. And why did he speak with them? He spoke with them to make sure that what he was doing was right. And he said that, every morning, every evening, I go to my, Srila Prabhupada Murti, and I pray to him, and I try to communicate as best as I can. But when it comes down to it, I have to check with Srila Prabhupada's followers, his dear followers, to see if what I'm doing is right. And he said, speaking with so many of his godbrothers, his shiksha gurus and so on, they all said, what you're doing is right. You're going into the academic field, you're going into the religious studies, trying to establish Krishna consciousness more in the academic field. So what you're doing is right. But interesting enough, he said at one point, he just, he got tired of asking so many, because he would ask so many people, and what am I doing right? Is it right? And then he said after like 2.5 years, he started becoming convinced, that what he was doing was right. He was engaged in it for 2 years. So yeah, that's important. The desires and what we hear and who we hear from, and if we're understanding properly, because those desires will completely transform our life, whatever they may be. Therefore, we have to be careful when dealing with Krishna, when dealing with devotees, when dealing with the philosophy, when dealing with everything. It's very like I said the other day, and Prabhupada says, it's like a razor's edge blade. You could shave very nicely, or you could cut your skin and cause problems. So therefore, we have to be careful. And also dealing with our minds. The mind, it says it could be the worst enemy or the best friend. The uncontrolled mind's the worst enemy, and the controlled mind is the best friend. So you could say worst enemy. That's like, it's not just an enemy, but it's the worst enemy. That's like, pretty intense. It's not just a regular enemy, it's worst enemy. So, we have to be careful. So here we have also some interesting statements here about Soma and liquor, and Prabhupada says beer. And apparently, somehow or other, who could understand some of the statements of the Bhagavatam, right? Inconceivable. It says that Prahlad Maharaj, does anyone remember what it said about Prahlad Maharaj? Yeah, drink liquor and beer. It said that they transformed him into a calf. And what happened when Prahlad Maharaj became a calf? It says that they extracted various kinds of liquor and beer, which they put into a pot made of iron. So, of course, again, yeah, who could understand some of these things? But somehow or other, and Prabhupada says in the purport that because Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of demons as the son of Hiranyakashipu, by his mercy the demons were and still are able to have their drinks in the form of wine and beer. So it's a mercy of Prahlad Maharaj. That's what it says. Whereas the nectar and some is put in a golden pot, the liquors and beers are put into an iron pot. Because the liquor and beer are inferior, they're placed into an iron pot, and because some rest is superior, is placed in a golden pot. So Prabhupada says that the liquor is demoniac, or as Bhajanarayan Swami likes to quote, wherever he heard it from or got it from, but he says that Prabhupada smelled beer one time, I guess. Prabhupada never did anything like that. He said, in a letter, he said, throughout my whole life, I have not known what is illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. He said, I never engaged in that. He said, although I had many opportunities to, he said, I never did. But Bhajanarayan Swami quotes that Prabhupada smelled beard one time, and he said it smelled like horse urine or something like that, or looked like horse urine. So yeah, it's not really fit for consumption, although so many people consume it all over the world, every day, so much of it. But yeah, it's considered to be in a mode of ignorance or mode of passion, mode of ignorance type of beverage, and it just, people do all types of stupid things when they, that so many ridiculous, unfortunate things happen when people are intoxicated. Car crashes and this and that, and so many things. And it says for Brahmins, the Bhagavatam says for Brahmins, in the 5th canto, it says for Brahmins who take liquor, there's a particular thing that happens in their next life. Does anyone remember what happens? What is it? What do you say, Glenn? Oh man, that's really intense. So yeah, that's what the Bhagavatam says, 5th canto. I know this isn't like super pleasant to hear and all that, sorry, but the Bhagavatam says that those who are Brahmins who drink liquor, all knowing that they shouldn't, and they're Brahmins and everything, they says that the Yamadutas, there's a particular hellish planet meant for persons like that. And it says that they pour hot iron, melted iron or copper or whatever it is down their throat. It's really intense. So Brahmins don't drink any alcohol. So what does this mean practically? That means that, or at least going on to another point, people want to be intoxicated. And why is that? Because, regular, ordinary, mundane, materialistic, just this world is just, it's boring, there's nothing really going on, people feel that way, people are bored. People are miserable. People have a lot of problems they want to cover up. So hey, let's get together and we'll we'll buy some booze, we'll buy some alcohol, and we'll all hang out, and we'll crank the radio very high so we don't have to think much. We'll drink some alcohol, and we'll dance and have a good time. That's what people's conception is. So it's like the living entity's nature to be, want to be, you could say, intoxicated, actually. And there's some verses in Rupa Goswami's teachings, and he says that you could become intoxicated on the liquor of the love for Lord Hari, Krishna. So instead of becoming intoxicated in so many other ways, like other people, we could become intoxicated with Krishna prem, love for Krishna consciousness. And also we could invite people to become intoxicated with Krishna consciousness. So many festivals and so on. And in this way, they could be saved from the detrimental effects of this, you could say, low class beverages of alcohol and so on. Yeah. So anyways, we could stop there. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Prahlad Maharaj, in the form of a calf, is providing beer and wine.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for class. It's very inspired. And this question is about Tamal Krishna Maharaj. At what country he went to school, in US or England?
Yeah. First he went to SMU, Southern Methodist University in Dallas. And then he went to Cambridge, which is, London. Yeah, which is in London. So that was the second school he went to. He went to London, or, nearby there. Maybe not exactly there, but near in that area. He had a little house there where he would live, and then he would go to school. And, he had some disciples, probably who would take turns, staying there and cooking and helping him out and serving and all that. Yeah.
And another question I have, it's about drinking liquor. You said it's Brahmanas or for all human beings or for all people?
Yeah, it specifically says in the 5th canto there, it says with that punishment, it says that Brahmins specifically. It doesn't say that all humans. It doesn't say all humans. It says Brahmins.
Liquors means everything, wine and
we'd have to
strong beverages.
Yeah, it's like, hey, well, Yamadutas, I didn't drink liquor, I drank beer, that's not liquor, because liquor is generally, seen to be like hard stuff, hard liquor, like, I don't know, vodka and blah, 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 all these different things. That's considered liquor. And beer's like different, or wine's different than liquor. So, I don't know, maybe we'd have to look closely in the verses and the purports. But, whatever it is, beer, liquor, wine, Brahmins don't want to do that. But it doesn't really say anything about just humans in general having to suffer like that. Although if humans do other things, it's like boiling. We'll be there in 1 minute. We'll be there in 1 minute. If like people, it says boil lobster, for example, there's some really heavy duty suffering for that, or, different things. I forgot other, like stealing from people, there's some heavy reactions for that. Illicit sex, it says generally, anybody who does that, there's some heavy reactions for that. So, probably meat eating, all that type of stuff.
Thank you.
No, you could.
So you're talking about this idea of clarity and having clarity on the instructions that we may get from Shiksha or Diksha gurus.
Yeah, when I say that, I'm not saying that like anybody's like like foolish or like unintelligent, and I'm not I'm not saying any of us are like foolish or unintelligent, but I'm saying even intelligent people have to do that. Just like Tamal Krishna, he was really intelligent, like spiritually and materially. He wasn't a dummy. He's like really intelligent, but even he did that. So.
So, I mean, one could say that it may be somewhat impractical to go and ask every single time you hear something for clarity, but you should just like use your intelligence to decipher. But of course, that may be faulty as well. So, I guess. So, what are some ways that we can understand, I guess, on our own, or what are some symptoms of understanding clearly or not understanding clearly? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Symptoms of understanding clearly. Not understand clearly? Well, I mean, if your Krishna consciousness is increasing, then, you're understanding clearly. If it's decreasing, or if there's some, like, maybe some heavy-duty problems or something, then there may be indication that some things are unclear, Or happiness, for example, you're feeling more and more and more and more happy, then there's like real, it's not some false, real, then that could be a symptom that, your understanding is becoming more clear. So, but generally it's like, the point is to please the Guru, right? And the Vaishnavas and Krishna. But, many people, they tax their, their brains, they tax their brains how to, like materialistic people who are successful, they really tax themselves. They tax their brain and, they're really busy, and then at the end of the night, they fall in their bed and they're tired. But just doing that, just because, we fall at the bed at night when we're tired, and we really worked hard throughout the day, doesn't necessarily mean that we pleased our Guru, So therefore, the idea of checking with others, what am I doing, is, trying to like refine our services, Am I really doing this the best I can? Is there better ways I could do it? Seeing what other people think. Prabhupada says you could judge things by the results. What are the results of what I'm doing? Like I'm cleaning the kitchen so nicely, for example, but I don't know, maybe in the meantime I'm like offending, 10 devotees or something in the process. You're like, yelling at devotees, hey, get out of the kitchen, I'm cleaning the kitchen, and, get lost. You throw a pot at them or something. I know it's a little extreme, but. So, that's the idea. Judge by results, check with devotees. And, of course, with small things, you don't have to check necessarily. It's not like, I'm not saying like every little thing, like, you're in the kitchen cutting a potato or something, and, you run throughout the whole ashram, and, you ask all your, temple commander and the temple president and your Shiksha Guru, am I cutting this potato properly, And you do that like every, am I washing my clothes properly? Am I hanging my clothes properly? And, is my dhoti okay? And, you go throughout your whole day like that. I'm not saying that, but specifically for philosophical things, understanding philosophical things, it's very important to ask. And also, life changes, you want to take sannyas, you want to get married, you want to be vanaprastha, you want to whatever, it's like, those types of things like that, services and so on. So, all right, Gunter.
Just really quick, for clarification for those who don't know, things like medication, cough syrup in particular, has alcohol in it, and some people actually use that to become intoxicated. But for the devotee, they need to do it, in order to get well. So what is the, where's the line drawn?
There may be other things that work besides that. I mean, a lot of devotees, they try to avoid anything with that, alcohol or anything, And they may take, like nowadays you go to Sprouts or People's, or, you go to these natural stores and they have all this, natural stuff. that specifically has been designed because people want to avoid those other things, you know. So, I mean, I would personally, I would just say, you know, try to avoid all that type of, as much contamination as possible, you know. But, you know, is Krishna going to give, you know, some devotee some severe reaction, you know, for a little alcohol in the cough syrup or something? It's like, well, I don't really think so. I mean, because, you know, devotee's not doing that to get intoxicated, they're just trying to, you know, cure the body or something. But all right, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.